sort of, but what these theologians did, among other things, was to look at the Gospels. And you'll notice it says 5 Gospels because they made the decision to include the Gospel of Thomas. And anyway, so they wanted to figure out what words did Jesus, just from what we understand and what we can glean, did he probably really say, and what words that are given to him in the Gospels he probably really
Mr.
didn't
Seaman teaches some of that, right? At Massive Pop. Yeah, Bruce.
Bruce Seaman, is in line with this sort of thing too. He is. Anyway, so that's generally they're called the Jesus Seminar. If you look at this, you know, they have a designation for the words that Jesus said and everything.
I don't know if you're gonna get to this, but the one thing, I mean, it was really mind changing for a lot of people to look at the history of Jesus and to look at our theology in a different way. But the core, I think, of what he tried to convey was that the most important thing is the I-thou relationship.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
And being able to relate to other people without judgment, without seeing them as the other, but just in accepting. I can't articulate
To the heart of who they were, to their thou, if you use Martin Buber's words,
Yeah.
to their deepest thou.
And he was extremely well educated.
Oh,
So he,
yes.
you know, he Hebrew and Latin and all of that stuff.
He would quote something and then say, but in Aramaic it says this, and in Hebrew it says
Right,
that.
right,
and in
right,
Greek it
yes.
says this. I
Exactly.
just sat here going, wow. Knows a few things.
But it's very important to look at things that way because, you know, in translation,
Right, a lot has changed and
A lot
lost.
of it
every translation is an interpretation. There's no question about that. So when we read the Bible in English, we're reading, doesn't matter what version we're reading an interpretation in a sense. Yeah.
And he was not pedantic.
No.
He was funny, you know, he was lightweight in many ways. He would be very serious, but he would be lightweight in many ways too.
Oh, and sometimes you didn't know whether he was kidding or not.
Yeah,
He would
right.
say stuff.
Right.
You're like, "What?"
Did he travel a lot? I mean, his face looks familiar to me for some reason.
So he, like I said, he lived most of his adult life in Puerto Rico. He actually was originally from California. He's one of these people who, like many pastors and stuff like that, who traveled theologically, who moved in his understanding of theology over
So
time.
he talked in other churches in Ocala.
Not a lot,
No,
no. He was ours, period.
Right, it would have been a hurricane.
No, the Signs of Mine would not welcome
They
him.
probably would have, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kept him under
We
wraps.
monopolized him. Every Sunday he needed to be here.
Yeah.
So you kidnapped him.
And like Margaret will attest, there were attempts occasionally to have an alternate adult Sunday school that were hard to pull off.
Yeah, they called me. I wasn't a member at the time, I think. And Buddy says, I want you to teach. And they were talking at First Bible Study. And I'm, no, I can't do that. But we did different things, diversity. We did, oh gosh, I can't even remember, love languages and things like that. And I did have a little following, but I remember we did Christmas traditions and people shared their traditions. And then we go into Tom's class and they're talking about blowing up the whole Christmas story. And I'm like,
Oh, he was very big on that. He'd remind us every Christmas. To the point where, I don't know if you remember this, the adult class, this was in about 2016 or 20, did the pageant. And we did it,
Oh, I remember.
showing how the two gospel stories were quite different. We wanted to, you
Oh, I
know,
didn't know about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
How did that go over?
Anyway,
But he also visited, if you were in the hospital, he could be,
yeah.
look out. I mean, this giant man was coming out.
Yes, indeed. So since Tom, we have tried to keep up some of the Jesus Seminar theologians like Marcus Borg, John Dominic Crossan came here at the beginning of 2015 and spoke at the college and spoke here. But you know, so much of what we've done has been internal. So I just want to mention a few people. Ray Ruark, John Moxley, and Ray Foreman challenged our theology in different ways. I don't know if you remember when Ray Foreman wanted to present his theological perspective, and he was shocked that it was so well received. He's much more traditional.
He's an ordained minister. Most
He's an
people don't
ordained
know that.
minister, yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
Foreman,
With
Ray
Presbyterian
Foreman.
or.
I'm not sure, but he was an ordained minister.
yeah,
Kate comes from a little bit different
Yeah,
tradition, I
yeah.
know.
yeah. I don't think it
Told me that
was,
one time.
I don't think he was ordained a Presbyterian, but maybe,
Yeah, he was ordained. He told me that over lunch one
But
time.
Presbyterian?
yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Maybe.
He was ordained.
Um,
Just like John was. John was ordained, you know, very conservative.
Advent Christian.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah. So, and then Buddy and Ann in various ways have formed what the class has done. But they brought to us ideas from the Church of the Savior, which was big.
Which is a church in Washington, D.C.
It is, it is.
So that big kind of community church, right?
No, it is a church that is many little churches. In other words,
That's what I
the
meant. Coffee
idea
house
that, oh,
church?
yes, they
Yes.
wanted, their big thing is, it's not a fancy worship place. It is, we need to be out in the community. So they've established, I don't know how many nonprofits that they run and at this point in Washington DC.
You also can't join until you've attended for a while and have been involved in a ministry. They don't want people to just walk in and become a pew sitter or a member who
A fingertip Christian.
who shows up 4 times a year.
Right, exactly. They're not for CE Christians. You know, So a history can't be told without saying that Gwen, virtually every year, sometimes twice a year, for 12 years, 50, I don't know, certainly the last 10, has done God's Awesome Wonders presentations. Anyway, so, and of course, Margaret has brought a lot of miracles of nature to us. Susan Jensen and Barbara have been key to us in terms of spiritual things. Lena, Judith, Pam, Sally helped us integrate poetry into our spiritual. I don't know, I'm sure you remember, but one thing I'll never forget is Lena's doing James Weldon Johnson's creation. Oh, it was astonishing. Yeah,
What's Lena look like?
yeah.
Lena's no
We must
longer,
take
she
pictures of
lived to
these.
be 103.
99.
103?
of 99.
Oh,
She,
I'm
she,
thinking-
they were planning her birthday.
Pictures of her, okay.
Melba's
Your mother,
on.
That's all you had to.
That's
do,
their
yeah.
mother.
That Lena is Pam's and Judith's mother. Yeah.
She's an artist.
Yeah. So anyway, and more recently, of course, Joanne and Daniel and others have really made us realize how important racial justice is in our community and being involved in that way. A note about names. Crossroads 2 was suggested as the name for our adult class in 2015 by John Moxley. The idea was that it would be an homage to the Crossroads class at First Pres, out of which Fort King grew. And so we've been that ever since. Adult discipleship, which is our committee, was named by Amanda Osenga, who was like an assistant pastor here for 2 years. And the connotation is that it's not just being educated, but education leads us out into the world. So we have had, and I think Margaret's going to show this pretty well. We've had a lot of things that have been inspired by Crossroads that we have done in the community. I won't name all of them because I think she has all of them, but one I am going to name, our inclusion statement. I don't know if you remember when Mary Ann Neeson led us through 5 or 6 sessions and a film about homosexuals in the church. And afterwards, we voted as a congregation without one dissent to have the inclusion statement that we have. So.
Where is that? 'Cause I would like to read that.
Is it in
It's-
the
it's
bulletin?
top of the
Very
bulletin.
top of the bulletin. Yep.
Here, return it. It's on front.
outside the church.
So that's something
That's
we're
all
gonna
it's right
touch
here, right
on
here.
in a
Okay.
minute,
Mhm.
but there are so many things that the coursework led to action. And I think that's very unusual in some cases. And I think that's
Mhm.
really special.
It is. It is.
I'll drive. I'll drive.
You'll drive.
drive.
You're gonna drive.
Yeah. I've never done that. So maybe I touched on these. Oh, but I'm going back because, oops, whoops.
So,
So I had asked Barbara to share. Barbara was such a big part of Historic Jesus, just something that really touched her.
I went back and as I said, I found a lot of the handouts that Tom had shared. And the telling thing for me was the one statement he made, which was kind of the catalyst for me to do all of this further exploring and whatnot. And it was this. He said, who was Jesus of Nazareth exactly? And what did he mean when he said and or did something? The focus should be on the historical Jesus, not on the theology of Paul the Apostle. And you know, that was kind of the jumping off point for me, because you know, all of the studying we did for the master's program in pastoral studies and all of that, you know, you get a certain perspective. It was taught by the Jesuits. So, you know, the Jesuits are very liberal, but it was a certain perspective. And then, you know, the introduction to the 5 Gospels and the Jesus Seminar and all of that was the prompt. That was the prompt for me, because it's a journey. It's a journey for all of us. And my faith journey brought me here.
so when did you
For a
start
reason.
attending
Oh,
here?
gosh, I have notes back to 2013.
Okay, yeah.
2014. I mean, it's been a long time. And yeah, because I look at the dates on things and on my files, you know, I have an extensive Fort King Crossroads file on my computer, and the dates go back like 12, 13, 14 and
Yeah.
going on forward. So yeah, but it's just been a joy to share that. Because, and I think I've shared with you before, the Catholic faith tradition is very dogma driven. And it's very, very specific. They have outlines, they have questions, it's formulaic more than exploratory. I mean, there's some that do the charismatic stuff and whatnot, but it's not the same thing as this. And I think that's what was so important for me is to explore that and to use what I discerned and learned. Again, it was really quite remarkable. But there was a pop-up the other day. It was the 20th anniversary of the Hurricane Katrina
Right.
Yeah.
in New Orleans. And my degree is from Loyola, New Orleans.
Oh.
And we graduated in 2009. And we all decided, there were 6 of us, we all decided we're going to New Orleans for the graduation. And it was 2009, Katrina was 2005. Loyola was severely impacted by the storm and they shut down for about 6 months. So that incoming freshman class all had to leave. And they were gone for almost 6 months. The majority of them came back. So 2009 was their graduating class. It was called the Katrina class. And they held it in the big Superdome because there were so many between the undergrads and the graduates and all of that kind of stuff. The governor of Louisiana gave the keynote address. General Honoré was there. He was the one that commanded all of the recovery for the army. And the jazz icon Herbie Hancock spoke. I mean, it was a big deal. Those students were so, and we were just, our little 6 group there, we were very honored to be a part of that because it was a big deal. So, yeah, that was a pop-up the other day and I was like, what a lovely memory that was. So, to go back and look at that, but again, but his was the catalyst. And then I remember, toward the end of his life, Ray Rourke called me and said, Tom wants to see you. So I went and saw him. And I think many of us experienced
Yes.
that because he kind of gave us marching orders and he said, keep doing what you're doing. Please keep doing. So that memory will stay with me always. And again, he used to always kind of corner me and say, okay, from the Catholic perspective, what is this? Tell me about this.
Well, we had to put Ray up here because Ray was such a regular teacher. I always don't know whether to call him teacher, facilitator, but even today with his health issues, he's very much looking at what's changing in the world and sending us stories.
Some of us get regular emails from Ray about with articles. He wants us to read.
Did he watch online? You just watch it.
I haven't seen him online.
So, no, he was part of the planning for this for many years. And as well as a leader.
Will
But
move us along.
Church, you mean, or for Crossroads specifically?
say that again.
He was part of the planning for the whole church or for?
For Crossroads, not for the whole church. He was not, he was a retired pastor. He'd been pastor at First Pres.
Oh, yeah,
Really
many
neat-
years.
neat
Yeah.
guy.
yeah.
So
Really special.
if we have time to talk about the future, and this is all great discussion, I think, I didn't get to a lot of those classes. So the fall is going to touch on some of those themes. So I hope people.
We are, and is that, like Cherie recognized when I was talking about the Jesus seminar, that it's similar to what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
going to be, the book we're
Yeah.
going to be reading.
Yeah, it's not an easy book to read either, but
Miracles
I'm
of-
I'm getting through it.
Oh, I know. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to jump into, I'm personally very proud of what we've done for racial justice. So, we've had so many different people. I mean, even what I would consider a dear friend, Jerome Gamble, shared stories I had never heard. But I wanted to ask Joanne to talk a little bit, and I do have a slide, Joanne, on that, but there's so much that we did.
Before I get to that, I don't, anyway, when I saw Jerome, Reverend Gamble's picture up there, his discussion of how he felt when he left Ocala
Right.
and how he reconnected with an old colleague and the reconciliation, that had the biggest impact on my life. I
huge.
started searching for Black women who had worked for my extended family and reconnected with their families. And it made this the things that we've been involved in the last 10 years, very, very personal.
Yeah. Oh, he said some things, I'm working on the canal and this dam issue, and Santos, the black community was destroyed, just totally destroyed because of the land buying to put that canal through. And he talked about State Road 40 being destroyed as it was back then. And he and I are kind of somewhat contemporaries. I don't know exactly his age, but I was in high school when some of this was going on, totally oblivious to all of it. So anyway, but there's so many good stories, you guys. I think we could do a 4-part
This-
series on this.
Yeah.
This book, my copy of this book is over here, and you're welcome to borrow it. John said he would.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
And I grew up in Sanford, Florida, and I remember hearing about Sheriff McCall. Not all this, not the truth, but just, oh, he was this really important man. That's all I knew about him. He was a big, powerful man. But it was fascinating and so great. The Groveland Four were actually pardoned by DeSantis back in 2020. But pardon does not say you're not guilty.
Yeah.
It's just you're pardoned.
Wiped out.
So our state attorney here, Bill Gladson, took it upon himself to really push and dig, and found some documents down in Lake County and was able to get them exonerated.
It's huge.
Well, he was the speaker here too.
He was, that's
Yeah.
right. He came and he presented that, and I think he was here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And one of the relatives of one of the Groveland Four
I remember that.
zoomed in.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talked.
I can't believe I actually was at one of these things talking about that. That was even during my tenure here.
I think what hit me is the bravery of Thurgood Marshall
Oh,
and the just sacrifices that he did to try to do not just this case, but so many others. It's just,
So, and Nancy's not here, but Nancy has some vague memories of all of that. She was a small
Oh,
child.
yeah,
living in
yeah.
there.
She saw the.
She's
she
been
saw the
sick.
plan march by her
She
house.
wanted to be here, but she's been. So there's so much. It's just like we can't go. Lots of books, studies around this, and really, I know everybody loved Charles Eady,
Yeah.
and
I'm
some.
just excited because you're doing some stuff in 2020.
But what's really cool, and Mary Beth I stole a lot of this from her presentation she did it for Presbytery over in St. Augustine on our Matthew 25 work. What's really, really cool is when you look at some of what the learning turned into. We participated in Souls to Poles, multiple years. The partnership doing the breakfast for the homeless at St. Paul AME. The job fair, I could tell all kinds of stories about that, but that was just such an amazing day. People were crying as they left.
Where's that church, Margaret?
That's over in West Ocala, not too far from Interfaith. And we had
For almost 2 years, including
Doing
during the pandemic.
doing like
Yeah.
70, 80 people breakfast. It was such a great team building thing too. And then did the tour of the mural with Barbara. And if y'all haven't, there is a little booklet on the City of Ocala's site that talks about this. But I'm sure there's much. Oh, and then Daniel, I think twice talked about his grandfather in this class earlier when I wasn't here. And then, and because of that talk, we put together this exhibit over at Hope House, and now it's in the Howard Academy. So that's a very cool thing that happened as a result of that. Okay.
That's Cherie and Kim.
No, can you just real quick?
I'm just going to say, I've been coming to the Bible study that we have on Wednesdays, and then currently we're studying a book about prayer. And I'm just so happy. There's all kind of theologies represented around the table. And I kind of thought when I started coming, oh, this is the group that's going to say, it's in the Bible, I believe it. It's in the Bible, you have to take it like it says.
Verbatim.
But they're so gracious when some of us say, I just can't think that literally. I just don't think he really said that. They're so gracious, and they're open to many interpretations. These two come to a lot of it. I've just really enjoyed Pastor Bob handles it so well. When somebody says, but the Bible says, and he says, yes, but, and we look at what that means for us today and what that means for the church today.
Thank
So
you,
I
thank you.
really enjoyed coming on Wednesday.
Thank you for staying a few minutes and doing that. I have it later on, but I
Sorry.
wanted, Annette, anything y'all want to add about those two things? I've got them in the slideshow, but if you want to add anything about the prayer Wednesday and the Bible study, have y'all been part of that? No?
Zoomed in.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the Zoom.
yeah, that's
helps a
great
lot.
from
Yeah.
Gainesville.
I've lived here since 1982, you know, so I've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm just grateful that you're all here, you know, for this sport. You know, and most of you know, I'm with Big Brother, Big Sister, and, you know, she's 9 now. We just went into 4th grade, and
yeah,
they got their own house.
yeah.
Bravo, you know,
Yeah.
with 7 of them still, but,
Oh,
you know,
that's great. That's very good.
so, you know, I read the book on Rosewood many, many years ago to a woman that wanted it read to her from New York. I was help caretaking her. She was a client's aunt that had moved down from New York, had health issues. She was diabetic, and she wanted me to read that book. We read it together,
Mm.
and oh my
That's
gosh,
great.
you know, tears and
Yeah. Super. Well, there's so many areas in this Matthew 25 category, but you know, our relationship with Interfaith goes deep, and I'm so glad Mary Beth took the challenge to be on their board. We've done lots of classes related to that. And oh my gosh, working on that apartment
Oh,
was
yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
highlights of my time.
I got a free eye case from Interfaith. This lady just said, come out. I was gonna donate these, and I was looking for one, and she gave it to me. And I got a beautiful little basket, so I was in their store
Great.
recently.
Well, they looked for a handful of churches to pick an apartment. Yeah, and we totally painted it. I've been disallowed to paint at my house, so I enjoyed being able to paint.
Can you say something about the top right?
The painting.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted to make each of their rooms super special. So the guys told us their colors and what they like. Well, Jose was from Puerto Rico, and Judith did a custom painting for him of Puerto Rico. And Mary Ann, oh, go ahead.
Mary Ann Fullerton?
Fullerton helped stock their whole pantry.
She really did.
Oh my, I mean, it was such an amazing experience, and we blessed the house, and it was just,
So Jose is still living in that apartment, and doing very well. Red has moved out of the area.
I
So,
didn't know that.
yeah, he went to be with his sister.
Oh, good,
There's
good.
a long story. to
What
it.
Rose said, you remember?
Mhm.
What year was that? Just a few years ago?
Oh, that
2 or
was
3 years
in
back.
2022.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And then we've done so much in the children's area, and this is really a direct thing. Of course, I think Joanne was one of the impetus for this to happen. But during this, you know, particular series, Cut Different, the Pearl Project came in, and then shortly thereafter, thanks to a lot of work with Joanne and others, we've made them home here. So those relationships, whoops, I know Joanne had that before, I'm sure, but those relationships do carry on. And then the things we've done, and Joanne and Mary Beth and some of you in this room, I was trying to figure that hair thing out.
Advent sale for our.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm like,
Donna's sister.
Yes.
Crochet or knitting over.
yeah. But the work, I saw the piece pole out there that I think Joanne got going, but just so much work doing luncheons with the women over at the Muslim Center and Islamic Center. And just so much work, and that continues with Joanne Mary.
And we have had more than one series of classes on, looking at other religions.
Right, right, like
and-
Ramadan.
Yeah, Barbara Brown Taylor's book is one of the books that we
Yeah.
focused on, and that was sort of her emphasis in that particular.
Can just a quick aside, when I started to pull together pictures under all these different categories, okay, mission ministry, okay, property, there was every one of them overlapped with Crossroads. Every one of them overlapped.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you haven't noticed the pictures on the wall down here,
They
They're
are so
adorable.
awesome.
So there's,
take a look at the pictures. Joanne, tell us about those.
Well, and Art for All sponsored that exhibit. It's it's supposed to represent Matthew 25. And so it's divided into different Some of them-
Ministries. or
different ministries, different focus.
that's great. So, the book Inward Journey, Outward Journey, it's a really good book that talks about, it does talk about that Church of the Savior, and that's left, but it does talk about that church quite a bit in there. But I found that, and so we had, when I came back to the church at one point, Buddy was doing a series about spiritual disciplines. And I still tell the story. I have a little notepad he gave us with all the notes from him, because I was just mesmerized at how deep his faith was, and things, the examine tool where he every morning or every evening he sets aside time to go over certain these questions, which help keep you disciplined, but also helping us get the Faith Leaders Program started, which we need to do again. But anybody else on Buddy, memories of Buddy and his work in Crossroads?
When I was flipping through this big book, which has all the minutes of adult discipleship from 2014, the number of different kinds of classes that Buddy led for us. He led a study on Gawande's book, Being Mortal. He led that. He led these spiritual things
Yeah.
frequently.
about
He did
meditation.
political stuff, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of different kinds of.
He explained the Gaza Israel thing one time. I was
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
the map and all that stuff, and it's so complicated. But anyway, and of course, Barbara has talked and introduced us to so many great theologians, and I just.
That's
finished-
just a beginning list.
Yeah. And I just finished reading
done.
Falling Upward.
Yeah.
with
Oh,
Richard
Falling Upward,
Rohr.
yeah.
And he talks about that eye vow.
Richard Rohr's new one, the
Tears.
tears and
I've
things.
just started that one.
Just FYI for you Kindle users, it's on Kindle for
Oh
$1.99.
gosh. Oh
Download
gosh.
it.
But anyway,
Fabulous.
we can't say enough about Barbara's, just every time it seems like while I was helping call Barbara, "Well, Barbara, would you mind doing this?"
It's true, it's true.
He's there.
How
he's
many
there.
last minute things have you done? But I want to say something else about Barbara. In these notes, I found out and then vaguely remembered to thank Barbara. One year, we gave her a certificate, which was an honorary membership of Fort King.
And then,
Be the cafeterian.
every time I always think of this stuff, I think of Ken Colin out on Top of the World saying art brings you closer to the divine. I just love that statement he made in this video. But we've had so much pulling people in through the arts and poetry and music and meditative things. Anybody? I know we're getting short on time here. And then we had the series on callings, but what I really wanted to showcase is our friend Joseph Ahim, who, I fell in love with at the Rotary presentation in Gainesville, and he was so gracious to come down. But this is like such an amazing
I know.
example
Yeah.
of somebody getting inspired by a class and acting on it and going out and just doing it.
Absolutely
And
right.
I wish John and Susie
Susie
were here
Hines.
today. Is there anything else I've jumped over that, Ken, in terms of we all remember yours and Sheree's thing on meditation and some other things. These are more present day things that we've done.
I want to teach some more so I can get bolder.
Well, there's one thing I've always said, and to my faculty at CF and out on Top of the World, you learn by teaching. And
Oh,
that's
yeah,
one reason I
without a
like, if I
doubt.
have a topic I want to learn, I suggest, I'll jump out there and say, I'll do it. And then I'm like, oh gosh, I got to read this stuff.
The thing about the Heinbuckles is they introduced us to the reducing medical debt.
Oh, yeah. Another calling, yeah. So much that we've done. I'm gonna jump over some of this, but
Just the whole series of the spring, of
Yeah.
the stewardship of the body and the
Yeah.
natural.
yeah,
world.
yeah. I'm actually trying to do that journal that the one group gave us. And I'm not religious about it,
I'm not, no.
but I am using it.
But I was forced to do some more of the things by the circumstances, so it's been very helpful. So
Yeah.
thank you for giving me.
It does make you remember things that you should be doing.
From taking care of ourselves, the small journal.
The,
small journal, yeah.
The hospital board gave them out
Yeah,
for free.
I,
and
I should have started it before everything happened, but. It's
But
all good, yes.
Y'all, listen to me, I don't know how many times I'm going about the Oklahoma, but anyway, let's let Susan, because we're running out of time. Susan, I had asked you to talk a little bit about some of your favorite areas.
We are an earth care congregation. And so earth has been in our hearts and souls. But my approach to it is not so much about recycling and conserving and making sure that we don't overuse resources and things like that. I have followed the idea of Celtic spirituality, that earth, the creation, are emanations of God the Creator, that God's presence is in the earth, in the galaxies, in all matter, all life, even down to the tiniest atom of the instructions. That it is sacred. The Celtic tradition tells us that we have two sacred books of Revelation. One is the scriptures, which we understand, or we adhere to as the word of God, even though sometimes we have to think through it. The other revelation is creation itself, that it is sacred, that incarnation is not limited to the baby in Bethlehem, but all that is incarnational, because it is God giving God's self in that big verse. There are a number of thought traditions that go back centuries. We were not made by God. We were made of God. We hold in ourselves that divine spark that was to let there be light from the beginning. So we see earth has, God's grace, God's love, God's provision for us, and that it is, because it is of God, sacred. And that we need to revere it. The word revere means to see the sacred in everything, or in a particular thing. Sometimes we revere the scriptures to the point of idolatry. We put it on the coffee table, but we did not put another book on top of it. It's like that. There are some traditions that say scripture alone is the way to God. But in the Celtic tradition, there is far more here. But the earth, the creation, what we learn from it, the theophanies that come from it, when we're able to see God in the creation that we encounter. Or just as much to be revered and cared for as scriptures themselves. And we talked about a number of ways to encounter the earth and the creation in ways that enhance our spirituality. Grew into that, not only the scriptures and the lessons from nature, but other writers. Yeah. I think I said in one presentation that the book of Psalms were written this century. Harry Oliver would have been in there.
Yes, you just said.
Touched our hearts. Because they have been touched. So, I don't know if we have time, I was going to read a brief from the very passage. So,
Can we come back to it? Hold it. In with it, okay?
yeah, we'll go.
I want to jump past a couple things, but we did put, I've got something, I want to make sure we highlight some of those things that,
Yes.
that,
Uniting the-
talking about God's wonderful creation, God's awesome creation. I think I'm always mesmerized by Gwen's classes.
So, do you remember all the titles of all of them that you did? I found these, but there were.
Oh, my spider one is not there, my.
Yeah, your spider one,
I added
I
bees.
missed
I
one.
think the
Yeah, yeah.
bees, I love the bees
Yeah.
one.
But,
No, the spider one was the first one I ever did. I'll never forget it because I had a t-shirt with big spider stuff all over it. They have several. But I had one and I had this shirt that had snaps on it. And so when I started everybody thinks that they don't think I'm kind of conflicted, but they never saw me like I would have been in front of a classroom. So I stood up there and said, well, today I'm going to talk about.
So funny. Oh my gosh. I was not there. Well, I think all of this, we have put some things in. My favorite thing, of course, was the Earth Fair. I think most of the church got involved in that. And so I have a picture of, oh gosh, who is it? Anyway, it's just the fashion show and everything. And y'all, putting up with this big idea that Joanne and I cooked up to do a mural. And that, I think all of that just demonstrates to the community, we care about the earth and the creation, and it's important to us as a church. And that appeals to a lot of people, a lot of young people. So that's been a good thing. So beyond Sunday learning, I don't want to, I thought Louise was going to be on here, but
No.
I know Melba has done a lot of book classes as
Yeah.
well.
I want to say something about Crossroads. For many, many years, every Crossroads class, Melba and Jean were sitting in the front row, right there. I mean, and people don't usually sit in those seats anymore, and so I think they've been reserved for us. Melba, we've got a spot for you here in the room.
We've been thinking of you, and I know you've been involved in a lot of these book discussions too, and such a, just an example for how I want to be when I, what I want to be when I grow up. Thank you for being part of today. Any book discussions, anything that really stuck out to anybody? And we're going to end with the Wendell Berry, one of my favorites. We don't want to, that's Annette did this for us since she was taken off, but I wanted to make sure. And of course, the library has been such a labor of love, and the Hope House and all of those things are extended, taking our programs to people in different ways. Art for All too, which is a separate ministry, but I still think it's an extension of all kinds of things we do. So we're running out of time, but I think we can continue this discussion. I wanted to make sure, Ken, that some of the new folks kind of, and I'm glad we finally started the report, because I'm like, darn, Mary Beth's telling stories I've never even heard. So, but I think there's just a great already fall lineup that Mary Beth and Gwen have put together.
Well, Ken's gonna be one of our
Yep, yep,
discussion leaders. and,
Lots of
yeah,
good,
yeah.
good people coming in. So, but I think sometimes people wonder, well, how did you get from this in the classroom to this? and I thought it would be good to connect the dots and show to people that sometimes things emerge, you know, within, and it gets us inspired. And sometimes we step out of our lane a little bit, but we've had some amazing things happen.
And it makes me think, it's kind of been a similar group that's come to Crossroads for, before it was called Crossroads even. And I wonder if, and I know there have been people who came when Tom was teaching who were scared of it, didn't understand it, and didn't come back because I don't think, it was too.
It was deep, and if you
was
weren't
deep.
there from the beginning,
It was not traditional. It's
yeah.
not what we want. And I wonder if people that don't come to Crossroads realize how amazing it is now, and the connection between, the inward and the outward journeys. And I
Yeah.
wonder if, anyway,
Yeah,
and a lot of those people have been parts of these
Right.
projects,
right,
but it's cool to get, I don't know.
yeah.
There's
back
certain
in.
people who cycle in and out of Crossroads, as we all know. And there are other people who I'm gonna say just never come.
Is it because it's too early on a Sunday morning?
And that's
Yeah,
part
or
of it.
too-
I know
too
that's part
much.
of it. I'll tell you right off, I mean, Steve and Sally don't come regularly for that reason.
Yeah.
But,
And Daniel, I thought about this, he's now in charge of, he's the
right,
ministry.
Daniel has segued out, and I think it's because he feels he needs to be present.
He's always a half hour early in front, church ready to
Uh-huh.
make sure, because that's his ministry. But anyway, Ken said, is this filling some dots, blanks of some things? Because I would occasionally pop into Tom's class and it would blow my mind, because if you didn't come on a regular basis, to me, it was very difficult. So that's why I think we've transitioned more to each class is almost like a standalone class, but they're connected, kind of.
So I want to say one other thing, and that has to do with Bob. Bob has led our classes more than once, usually about the Boy Scouts, which is important, but also every single morning, Bob is here early,
Yeah.
making coffee.
Mostly. Mostly.
Yeah, it takes a village, it takes a village. Well,
Well, that's the logistics.
yeah. Well,
Certificate to prove it from the Army.
well, I got jazzed about this a while back when Mary Beth put the Matthew 25 presentation together, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this like connects a lot of dots. And I think about two newcomers. it's not just about Crossroads, it's about the fabric and the kind of foundational things that are important to the church. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'm gonna have Susan end with one of my favorites, Wendell Berry.
Yes. Yeah, we'll let this be a benediction.
Okay.
I chose it because it speaks to the way the creation speaks to us. And no matter what we are facing in life, it is there at our hearts, directly from the heart of God. And this is also a sort of homage to Muddy, as this is one of his favorites, and his granddaughter read it at his memorial service. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down wherever the wood drake rests in its beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. Wendell Berry, The Peace of Wild Things.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank y'all for coming today and for all your great input, memories.
That was a great job.
Oh, thank you.
He and I spent.
So this will be shown
Yeah,
during-
I could sense that was on the 14th.
Yeah, I think that's, and I wasn't
following a
here.
lot of
But
that
in
stuff
one
either.
military thing,
I
that I'll
talk to
use my
people like
number one.
that. Yeah, sure.
We'll be together again in 20.
You know, I'll tell you, if you look.
He's
look
full travel.
at the mind and
Over the
look
next
at
couple of
the-
years, I'm like, you know.
Of important.
Incredible range of
Yeah.
subjects and then to show how it is,
He's always.
that had a
Yeah.
manifestation. Action.
I'm sure there's many more examples, but the ones that Mary Beth had pulled together for Matthew 25,
That
those
is
were like,
really
wow.
something.
Yeah.
And you're gonna like do a version of this. for
So I
the-
want to
Yeah.
have a continuous list, so I'm sure it's easy to figure that out.
For the slides.
Yeah,
So people can just kind of come in and out.
yeah, so during both the Saturday thing and church service, it'll be going on. And we'll encourage people to come down and look at Joanne's this, and I just thought it would be, and some of the people who are coming will relate to some of this too.
Yeah,
I think.
see,
So.
I haven't timed it, I hope it's not too long.
What program are the slides in?
Just PowerPoint. Is that easy to do? I can probably do that.
Yeah.
I think, 'cause I don't remember ever actually doing that, but I'm sure there's gotta be.
Yeah, I don't think it's that hard, because I think I've seen somebody do it with a stroke of a finger or something.
Yeah, well, they also are an open and
I don't know how to
inclusive
add
church,
that,
you know,
but I
that.
might, maybe I'll-
But their theology would be
Well, that, I mean, for that, you could just get,
So I
AI?
can sit through this.
just get a CD and put it on. It'd
Yeah, that's true.
be easy.
Or maybe we could.
So, and we did one for years.
And add, and tell it to add music.
It's been amazing what I've done.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't even done AI until years ago, and somebody was telling me all the things they were using it for.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to take a class. You go, no, you don't need to take a class. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe
I
it.
feel like I do, because I hear about some people are doing, and I've played with it, but it's like, how'd you do that?
Well, there's a fairly long, I think in the master's class, there's each session is on a different thing.
And she introduced me to boards.
Yeah.
And should be able to-
I'll figure out I was at as my usual Myers Briggs, doing this.
Oh, I know, it's 9 o'clock last night.
I'm like, what? No, I'll figure that out later. But
It was
anyway. Anyway, it was fun putting it
not about
together, and
movies.
hearing
That's
some of the
really good,
stories
yeah.
I didn't know
That was-
about.
That's really something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot.
We were
So
gonna
free.
get the best
Oh,
class. I wanted to bring that
absolutely.
whole second thought into the class and sometimes I never did.
Yeah, I was thinking the minister's wife, right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, I was going with that, but it's just good, you know, it is an eye opener. I thought that I think it was the answers, what series on. But.
Some of them are between a rock and a hard. So what I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
say bad things about it.
I want to read some of it, and I have, and as Susan's talking. What can we do with our books that we don't promote enough about what the book is about?
Yeah.
And you can pull that right off.
Even though he
You
didn't.
know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm like,
And I think he's saying exactly.
Yeah.
because it's,
Because you gotta give people a basis.
because I probably would have attended more things, but the other thing is just, yeah, when I was running things that, yeah, for corporate training, we would call board.
Come here and then
It was, we tell people, it's a summary for those of you who don't have time to read the whole leadership book.
Yeah.
We take leadership books and do a hour. kind of thing.
So I'm gonna
And
say,
that's less intimidating to get people to do that, then they might read the whole thing. So I think we should think of
the rest of the congregation.
there's the people that want to
Even
dig
if
in.
it's not.
People like me about every book up there, I would like to.
It's sort of like in that.
Yes. Finally got out of my book club because they're reading stuff I don't really care about, so I can read them. what I
Even
care
if
about.
they're in a
Yeah,
different.
I know that.
place,
That
you know,
happens, yeah.
they're
Well, I'm
willing
on
to have. questioning.
Oh, I understand my life, I am too. So some of the fiction, I'm like,
This is where.
So I have a dilemma here, so I just got this long news from a net.
oh,
saying-
yeah,
It's kind of fun to do, kind of,
Yeah.
like there's I've already got so many people.
So I don't know what
I
to
just
do.
bought one Overstory.
Oh, yeah.
Since we went to Northern California.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes
I'll
it-
tell you.
Did she
Haven't gotten very far in it, but it's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah.
She must not have. She must not have. This is what she says, can I?
Guy that's done some eco-terrorist stuff. What was his name? This is a great book. It was,
I would love to share some of these musings. I don't know if you're looking for present.
Right, that's how I got the.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
nice.
it on my phone.
All a part of Crossroads class, if you want. So. Mine aspects back out.
Yeah, it is
Are
hard,
you,
yeah.
do Kindle? Because I've never done it, but I don't know which one to get.
Well,
Kindle.
you can just have an iPad.
Hard for them to.
No.
Because you can download it on.
That could be.
Yeah, you can download it on the
It
laptop.
does.
Read it on the laptop.
You're watching the
Kids
tape,
gave
and the other thing
Years
is
ago,
that
the
you
kids
might
gave
be
me, I
on
think,
different
the
tapes.
second generation.
You know, and that's weird.
But, you can get something like a Kindle Fire, which, or, yeah, it's got more than just the Kindle app on it. You can get your email and your.
Maybe we
Maybe I
could
could
divide
just
one
do
of,
my
I'm gonna look at
Is
it.
it like an
I'm
app?
thinking
Little
It's,
app or
yeah,
something?
it's just, once you
Some
download
of
it
the
and have
chapters
it,
are
then
more-
you go on
It's,
Amazon. Amazon,
Yeah, I'll just try that
Amazon
first.
has just, it says they have the
The
book
Kindle is
section.
like, so you can
Try to
put it
develop.
in your
Yeah,
pocket
you
or
know,
something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Send an email to
But
everybody.
if I'm just gonna read books at home.
Oh, you can do it on your
So,
phone.
yeah, we have 7. Oh, that's right. But we could extend it because.
Because see, there's the Kindle app there. So you just pull it up. Yeah, and again, they have some amazing, as I said, Richard Moore's, you know, is $1.99 now. I just downloaded it the other day. You just go to Amazon Kindle, if you can just Google Amazon Kindle, once you have the app, and then it just shows you all.
Yeah.
I also have
Oh, that's
Kindle
but I'm wondering.
which is, I
Because we've done some
pay
into
for
the
that, it's like
holidays.
$11.
Yeah, we can add another
something like
session.
that.
Yeah. I
As
think we
far as
should
the
do it.
time
Oh, we
period,
should add.
but
add
how
this
we
to-
divide up the chapters, I don't know.
And there's a
No, I
whole
think
wide
she's-
selection of it, but this is the main page.
So
and
Who's,
my
who do you have
library.
doing chapter? Oh, you haven't?
we're
You
gonna
haven't?
divide it up this week.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, some-
Definitely
but
put that
John,
down.
John.
And some of them are downloaded, some of them are. Just if you have a book that you're interested in.
When you send this out, and I put it on the cloud, I hope that's how you usually do it, and not on your
So
PC.
you can just kind of.
When I
read
recorded
and then
it?
See
Yeah, yeah,
how,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
When you send
it
it
may
out,
be-
since we missed your little.
once you get into it, it's like, oh, no, it's not what I thought it was.
A little bit
But,
about
and it's my way of,
Because I think.
then I'll
everything
go
was so
through
good.
time.
That's when I thought about the recording. I was trans, these are stories I haven't even heard.
About the time.
Yeah, I mean.
I
It could be a short.
You know,
version,
it's like,
but still.
so this
kind of
is
put
the
things
alternative.
But
And
I-
the fact that, you know, this is portable, I have it with me, so especially if I'm traveling or.
You gotta be
whatever,
careful.
so-
when you get
And the
new
kids gave it
cameras,
to me
is they-
originally years ago, because they said, Mom,
Yeah, yeah,
even when you drive down
And
here for
even
dinner, we
with-
bring
I
a
don't
book
know
with
what
you.
kind
So we said, this makes it
So that's an
easier. but
iPad?
It's an, this is an iPad, yeah, yeah, but I don't have those, you can't be,
I
on
don't
your,
even know if
you
we
can get
can
on your
do
iPhone
that.
too. You can get it on phone, I mean, it's harder to read because it's smaller, but
Oh, for new
but you
members.
get the
It
app
used to be,
anywhere, the app is free to download, you know, on,
No,
yeah, but
no,
just,
that-
but
that-
just
that didn't
download it, I
happen.
have it on my
I
laptop
didn't have
too.
Uh,
So yeah.
any
So
class.
you don't have to buy the
Uh,
device, so, yeah. So
there
it really
was-
works well, but.
And even
But
when I
yeah,
went
but
on the
I mean,
session,
it's
that's, they're definitely
thousands, I
supposed to
mean,
have.
and most of the
going on,
time when you
I guess
scroll,
maybe because I've been
and
on
there's a
sessions
book you're
before,
interested
I-
in, you pull it up on Amazon and it'll say hardback, paperback, Kindle, you know, at least you the beauty of it is.
It's cheaper than buying the physical book.
Well, they've gone up, so some of the Kindles on the bestsellers are now
Well, I,
like.
oh, when I came on,
And the
when
hardback
I
may
came
be
on.
$19.99, so, but again, the convenience of it, as far as I'm.
I
concerned,
think, no,
they're
that
like
must
me,
have been
space. I don't have
to give a
space.
statement of faith and a journey. and
But
faith.
yeah, it's the download is absolutely free for the app. So then you
That's
can
not
spend
bad.
it somewhere else.
I know, right?
That was,
Join the club. Maybe
Amazon
at
Kindle
Raleigh
Readers
Day when you're
today.
talking about.
And then
Gwen's
those are
talking
the
about
ones.
fall
that are
gathering.
special.
Fall gathering, okay. Maybe she could
Every
encourage
once in a while,
people
we'll get
that
something
haven't
like,
been to Crossroads to look at
like
this as a kind of retrospect of kind of.
oh,
What's the
okay,
other one?
yeah,
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 Can't remember. Oh, big fan of the West Wing.
I said, I hope Louise is
The
okay.
series, and they have, they published.
She
a
was
book
gonna
called
talk about
What's
books.
Next, which is the whole
She said she was
history
gonna be
of
on.
the West Wing series. And the book is about that thick, because I bought it. They had that for $1.
She said.
That way I can.
Oh,
show them.
okay.
If you're watching
Although her
something.
daughter,
Rather
she
than
spoke
having
to our program one.
Good
We
dog.
got, you remember?
I
I
like
last
that.
week I met her.
I like her text. I have.
Yeah.
I do it
too.
when I'm home.
Maybe she's.
Yeah.
The
Just
physical-
I almost skipped hers because for Birdie, I
So,
kind
I
of
know,
like
that's-
hold it maybe because I'm not gonna.
Oh, okay, okay. So I need to,
Push her out the door,
And that's my
backyard.
friend said, you're in the
Hold her
21st
back
century.
in.
Yep.
So it's easier.